Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to our channel. I think we will be streaming on Facebook today on HVAC Startup Technician. So we'll be all over the place. Today I have David with me, and we will have another discussion, as we always do. We're gonna be talking about turning a dream into reality. Turning your dream into reality. Where do you start? So I would actually let David start. So David, introduce yourself again. It's the second week you're on here with me, and let we start that topic right now.
Well, thank you again, Ernie, for allowing me to join on your live broadcast. And my name is David Fleming. Myself and Ernie, we report from the Caribbean. And it's a pleasure again to share whatever insight we have because we normally have these kind of conversation with each other. And we said to ourselves, yes, we accustomed having these in-depth thoughts and insight. We've been doing this with each other from since we were this tender age of 14. Why don't we just make it publicly available to other people? Maybe it will help a lot of other people overcome some of the challenges that we think is just normal to us now. So we're using this as a platform to help inspire other people and help other people overcome these challenges as well that we have certainly overcome to a certain extent. So
Okay.
thank you again. Let's see how we could turn this dream. I'm not sure if I'm dreaming right now, right? But we will know definitely if it's a reality. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get started here in a minute, and we did have a giveaway, which we says we're gonna be giving a couple of copies of my book, how you two could be successful and make a lot of money even if you have no talent. And this book kind of dispelled the myth of talent because we believe that just being talented is not enough, that a talent is a practice skill. So any skill that you practice over and over, you will be get good at it. There's a saying that practice make perfect, and I know me and the wife, I just had to tell her, practice don't make perfect, it make you better. So we have to try to get
Nice
that
one.
get that out. So to the first person that make a comment, they are going to receive a free book. Oh no, I can't do it. My wife is the first one to make a comment. And Colin, you do not qualify. You do not qualify, Colin. So sorry. So
Nice, nice.
right. And again, Larry, so support is really important. And once you have a family that supports you to kind of see your dreams come true. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that, David. I will let you expand a little bit, and then I will chime in as we go ahead and talk about how people could make their dreams a reality. And it could be whatever your dream is, whatever you aspire to be. My take is you have to be committed. You have to work night and day at it. You cannot give up. Sometimes you just have to suck your pride up and do what you have to do in order to stick to it. You got to eat crow sometimes to kind of get true to your dreams. So, David, I would let you take this one on, and I will chime in a little bit again.
Okay, so first of all, let's just clarify what a dream is. There are two kind of dream. You lie down and you sleep in your bed and you jump up cold sweating, you have an idea, or it is something that you've been formulating for a while, you thought about it, um, you really is inspired to do this thing, and over time, you keep processing, trying finding ways to do things. The second one, that is what we're talking about. We're not talking about the cold sweat dream in the bed that you jump up with. So you have to think it through properly. And if I were to draw our attention based on myself and Ernie, we actually came from the Caribbean. And I remember, and I guess he could remember as well, early at the age of 14, there were a small bar at the bottom of the hill. And as the two guys, we would go sit there. We would play a little bit of pool. We might have a drink at the bar or whatever it is. Nothing alcoholic at that age. And then we would sit outside after the bar has closed, and we would sit there conversing and thinking about, where would we want to be, looking at life. And at the age of 14, what started to happen is people started passing us, seeing us talking about these things, or even the owner's wife was hearing us, or and his daughter and so on, and they were saying, "You guys are 14. What are you talking about? About life, dream, and aspiration? You guys need to go and enjoy yourself, right?" Adoni, isn't that true?
That's totally true.
And and we never stopped. What started to happen is we continued to talk and begin to go deeper and deeper. We started to reflect on things that we had seen, um, and where our family are. And, when we start talking about things like when we have kids, what we would like, and when we reach certain age after school, what we would want to do, and that kind of stuff. And it was amazing. And I think that's where Ernie and I, we bonded, because to this day, even though we hadn't communicated for maybe a few years, we weren't in constant contact. The minute time we both connect with a phone call, it's just like if we spoke yesterday. There was no loss of connection. That lifeline has always been there. And that it would be one of the points I would talk to you about later, why that lifeline is very important. Now, let's stick to the point now. So you have a particular dream. You've been talking about it, you've been formulating it. But every dream has a financial implication. There is some sort of cost to it. And in a dream, going along a life dream, it may not be always the straight road that you plan. And sometimes you have to pivot and turn. Life throws you certain curveballs, and you have to figure out certain ways to navigate and get around certain aspects of it. So let's talk a little bit about what are some of the things that maybe a person might go through. And for most of the people who are listening, I'm just assuming, I'm not judging anybody who might be pretty young, but I'm hoping that most of the people might be of a middle age. So maybe the early birthing stage of the dream has already passed for you. You know what your dream is, but how do you get started? And one of my fundamental building blocks has been my background with my dad, whereby he taught me how to do savings. And a lot of people, which I know, they would say, well, I don't have any additional resource. I can't save. There is nothing there to save, right? And that in itself is not true. If you look carefully, there are some things that you indulge in that can be cut back. Because remember, if your dream is important to you, there are certain sacrifices that you have to be prepared to make. You may like drinking beers, let's say, for example, and normally you're not working towards your dream, okay? You go out with the friends or whatever it is, and you might say, okay, I'll drink 5 beers tonight. That's okay. But working towards your dream and you know your goal, you might say, you know what, let me scale back a little on the beers. And the same thing could be applied to maybe coffee or donuts or tea or dining out. And the key concept is not that you scale back alone, but whatever you scaled back on, the cost savings that you scale back on, that is what you allocate to that savings account. So you basically have a dream savings account where you're trickling in that little pieces of savings that you did not overspend on and have it in that account. And don't even look at the account in terms of monitoring its balances. Think of it in your mind like you already spend it on donut, you already spend it on coffee, you do not have it. So at no point there should be an excuse for you to go into that dream account because you have spent that money already. But instead of buying coffee, you have bought a portion of your dream by putting the money into that account. So you don't have that money. It is only when you are about to purchase your dream that is what that account is for. So psychologically, you have to put up that wall in your mind that that account there does not exist, even though you're putting those funds that you would have spent into that account. And I will share that experience. In the beginning, I started that approach and I was concerned that, oh, the little bit amounts going into that account, what difference does that make? That is not going to add up. And I remember the first 3 months I looked into it and it's like, oh, it's not making sense. I forgot it. But then after a couple months, and maybe let me just roll back a little on that. There is a saying I have: if you have a good habit, great. If you have a bad habit, not so great. But to create a habit, if you keep at it between 3 to 6 months, be it a good habit or a bad habit, you would find it very difficult to break. If you start applying that principle of putting aside that fund that you are not spending inside there, you would start realizing that you don't even miss it. So having that habit where that money is inside of the account, what I noticed after 6 months, I did my first look at 3 months because I was excited. No, not much different. There's a little increase. After 6 months, the increase looked a little bit better. And after 6 months, I no longer thought about it. So what started to happen, like at the end of the year, I just actually went and looked because it's like, oh, I just remember I had that account. I always used to just do these deposits inside. And I was amazed. Excuse me. I saw that the account had accrued almost $2,600. And I started to put some pen to paper at that point because it's like, okay, how did I have $2,600? It allowed me now to sit back and say, okay, so does that mean I've been wasting $2,600 for every year? And in reality, I was realizing I was wasting even more than $2,600 because I did not scale back all the unnecessary 100%. It was a trial phase for me. So then I started to look now and I actually came up with budget for actual things that I actually needed. And what I started to do now is instead, I started to create, how would we say, it is not a leisure, but it is a budget. I set up a budget. So I started categorizing and I said, okay, these are the must do's. It's like your bills, you must pay your bills. And out of what remains, I decided now 50% of what was absolutely necessary remaining in that account. So let's say, for example, I got a salary of $1,000 and my bills were $600. At the end of the month, what I would do, and I'll say, the last $400, I'm allocating 50% of it into that special account. And whatever happens to the other 50, I'm not caring. That's my enjoyment money for the month. What started to happen is I soon realized the second year I had like $7,500. What that means, I was wasting almost 50% of my unspent money on bills. That is a technique I started to use. One of the other principles I kind of had on top of that now is the next level of temptation that starts happening is you start looking at that account because now you are aware that you're putting money there every month and the money has reached to a certain threshold. And everybody has this thing about when you watch money long enough, you would find a reason that tempts you to spend some of it. So the next piece of trick I had to perform on myself is this. I had to find and set up a different kind of account, an account that was difficult for me to retrieve the money out of. So whenever that first account reached a certain threshold, I would remove a large portion of it and put it in that separate account whereby it may get better interest and I couldn't just go and do a withdrawal from it. So I was taking it out of my constant view and my constant available access, and I put it in that secondary account. And every time that first account that I'm trickling the money into reach a certain threshold, I would move it into the other account. That was the saving scheme I used. And that is what was pivotal in allowing me to turn my dream into a reality. I haven't told you what the dream is yet, what my dream was, but I would let Ernie take a little talk on this time. I know I have been speaking for quite a while. I don't want to silence him. So let me give him a chance to put his little input. I don't know from his standpoint how he managed his beginning to turn his dream into a reality. Everybody's dream doesn't have to start the same way, doesn't have to use the same techniques. But the long-term goal is once you have your dream in front of you and you're aiming towards it, whatever road or path it takes you to get there, it is a win. What is your take on that, Aaron?
Oh, yeah, okay, David. Good take, good take. Take as much time as you want because I guess for people don't know, David used to work in a bank a couple years ago. I'm not sure what he was doing if it was on the technical side, but my take, I would take a little different approach. I said I grew up poor also. I think a lot maybe poorer than David, and we didn't have much. Even going to school for me was hard. But I wouldn't take a lot of time talking about my childhood. I want to take a different approach into how you make your dreams come true and turn your dream into reality. I want to kind of sidetrack. David could deal with the financial spot. I will deal with a different take here. And the thing is, you got to find your reason. And you have to remember that your reason will always comes before results. So sometimes you have to able to see the end and you have to kind of visualize where you want to get. But what is your reason for that? It could be that you want to make a better life for your kids. I know for me, I want to
Yep.
make sure that my kids don't grow up as poor as I do. I have a daughter. I want to make sure that she understands what is love and she doesn't have to depend on a man to get mistreated by somebody just because they might be the breadwinner. That's my dream is that sooner or later, when all is said and done, and I close my eyes, I want to see people that knows me, I had contact with me, could say, "Oh, I met Ernie, and he made a difference." There's a lot of people, me as a kid growing up, that they have made a difference in my life. There is like talking about going back to school, and then you have to kind of go back from you as a kid, because I always say the person you are right now is the same person you were at 9 years old. You just
Yep.
develop,
Yep.
and you may have a little bit of breast now, or you might have, my hair might change, my feature
Yep.
might change, I may put on a
Get a
little bit
little
of
gray
weight.
hair. Yep.
But you are the same person. So you kind of have to find what your reason is, and you have to kind of work on your goals, and you will have a lot of stumbling block. Nobody
Yes.
says it's going to be easy because you get into you're making the results, because I remember the results going to come, but you're going to have stumbling block. It's not going to be smooth. I know my son, normally sometimes I have to talk to him because he thinks that everything going to be nice and smooth, and as a father I has to show him that even if daddy in a position to make your life better, my goal is not to make your life completely better. You know what I'm saying? My life is for you to understand that there is stumbling blocks, there is challenges, and you also have to remember, David, that we cannot forget that, because how we grew up. I grew up in a Christian home where we was praying. Prayer is really important. You really have to pray about your situation and trust God to help you. So there's a lot of things that could help you make those
Yes.
dreams reality. The support of your
Yes.
family is important. So from that aspect, David, I says, I'm thinking about your mindset again is important. They say that you're the average of the first five people that you hang around with. So you gotta look at your circle. and realize who you want to hang out with. Me and you've been hanging around for what? For over 30 years. We've been friends for 30
Yep.
years. I don't think there is anybody, very few people that has been friends for 30 years. And you has made a very important change in my life when we met and we start talking positive things. We wasn't hanging out with the normal crowd. Me and you was hanging out, and David could attest to that. The people were saying we're crazy. I mean, I'm
Yes,
surprised they
yes.
didn't say we gay. So I
Yes, I didn't surprise at that too. I was waiting for it to come one day. And Larry, you did make a very important point about your son, right? Children need to understand that it is not about making their life perfect. It's not about covering all their bases. Because the only time I believe like a child truly appreciates something is when they have invested something in it. Whenever whenever children gets everything handed to them and they didn't have to invest, they may not understand the amount of sweat that went into making the preparation for them, whereby the appreciation level might be diminished on how they see it. What I has covered so far, it is just the financial way that I went about preparing for the process of beginning to pursue my dream. But everything Ernie says, it's very true. It is very realistic. You must have an initial goal that where you are going, and you must have some faith in how you're going to get there. And one of the things you need to find inspiration, you need to associate yourself with someone or some or people who can inspire you and who can help build you up and not discourage you from trying to achieve your dream. And Ernie could attest to this. That's why he said we normally was dealing with each other, interacting with each other, because what we found is that the other circle of our friends, they were discouraging us. People were saying, "You're too early for that." It's like, what are you guys talking about? Time to enjoy yourself. When everybody else was going around enjoying ourselves, we were trying to help ourselves developmentally, help ourselves see things clearer, and how do we find the pathway to get to where we want to achieve? Because the love of our family is what really drove us to achieve our dreams, right? Because we didn't want like our children and so on to go through the same poverty path that we went through. We wanted better for them. We wanted to give them like a head start in life. So we started to think about this, and you could imagine we did not have any children yet, right? We're talking about 14 to 16. We weren't we well, I, I can't believe, were we sexually active yet, Tony? Don't answer that. Don't answer that yet. But yeah, we were thinking about our children and our children's future and about our children's studying and all these kind of high philosophical questions that we were asking each other. And it was and it the time, it was amazing, honey. The time flew by. I remember it had some time we saw the sun coming up, and it's like, you know what, we need to go take a rest, right? Because like the talks and the topic was so intriguing to us that we were actually living it and starting to breathe it, whereby it didn't become like some imaginary thing in our mind. It became a part of us, like a daily activity. So for us to manifest that dream and bring it into a reality, it wasn't like some fictional something we just pulled out of the blue. It was just a matter of putting the pieces in place and working towards that target. I don't want to cut Ernie, but in terms of your book giveaway, have you identified anybody so far that
Yeah,
you may?
drum,
Okay,
yeah, drum roll, drum roll.
yeah, maybe you might want to tell them how
Mm,
the first selection goes.
yeah, well, we get the first selection because the first person that comment, they got a copy of this book, as you can see it here. I will bring it
Okay.
this way.
Um, um, Maybe you might want to say the first name of the person who won, so at least
Oh,
people know just the
yeah,
first name. We don't
the
want to
first.
give a second surname.
Oh well, we have, I could tell. Oh, Janice. So
Janice.
Janice
Okay.
has just won a copy of this book, and Janice, you could message me, and I will definitely send this over to you. So Janice has
Okay.
won the first copy of um, How You Two Could Be Successful and Make a Lot of Money, even if you have no talent.
Okay.
So
Does Janice know how to what she needs to send you and
yeah,
everything?
yeah. Janice,
Well,
Janice knows how to message me. So Janice
okay.
just messaged me, and she will just send me a message, and we will get this out to you. So thank you for Janice for being on here with us. Hopefully, we could inspire you. You know, so
All right. Well, congratulations, Janice,
oh,
on your winnings, and I hope you continue to follow us along and that we can give you some meaningful insight. If ever you have any topics or concern you think that might be an interesting broadcast, we will definitely appreciate any submissions that anybody makes, and we will see if it is something that we have personally experienced
mhm.
and that we have insight into, because what we are doing is talking about things that we personally experience, that we know about, and that we are not just imagining or taking from a book. Is some things that we actually lived, breathe, practice, and it has taken us to this point in our lives. So everything we talk about here, it is not fictional, it is just the pure truth.
Well, Janice
um
says she's
okay.
inspired. Thank you both. So
Oh,
I just wanted to,
thank you.
I just wanted you to know that. Wanted you to know that. So we will be doing more giveaway as the night go on. This is not the first. We have a couple copies. I said we give it out a couple copies. Um, David, I want us to talk a little bit about. We talk about dreams, and it's very important that what do you want to be remembered for? You know, I think
Yes.
yes, because that's totally important. Because we talk about dreams and getting dreams into reality, but we want to make sure that people don't take, let me say, shortcuts. Because normally, if you try to do things the wrong way, like you think you could scam somebody and you could get ahead, and like guys would, I'm gonna kind of stray a little bit, David.
Hmm.
Like
Sure.
guys, I might think, you know what, man, I'm gonna maybe I have to sell some drugs or do something, and then eventually I'm gonna make some money, and then I'm
Mm-mm.
gonna go, and then I'm gonna go the right way. Those
No, no,
things,
no.
those things never work. And once you do that, you're gonna have to fight again. So I just wanted to push that off to say that you have to be what you want to be known for is important. And as we're talking about dreams, anybody listening here, something I've found out to be very helpful is that you want to write what some of your dreams are. You actually want to write these things down, because we could talk about this and you could have it in your mind, but when you write it out, you will definitely see it. Something I did a couple years ago, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, I wrote a check for $1 million and I stick it up in my bathroom.
Hmm.
And every day I go to the bathroom, I could have seen, and that could have helped me. So you want to definitely write your goals down, and you kind of want to stick to it. It could be hard. I know it could be hard sometimes, and that's why I have the taking more the financial side. It could be hard sometimes to fund your dreams. That could be hard, but sometimes you have to do jobs that you're uncomfortable with.
Yes,
You have to do jobs that you don't want to do in order to get where you could get. So you have to kind of get you have to have a stepping stone where you could kind of get to your dreams. We know it mightn't be right now, it might be hard for you. I've gone through this. I have done, I think one of the first job I did, David, remember, was doing some security job. I
oh
hated
yes.
that. Then I think I went and I was washing dishes in a kitchen. And when I was working in the hotel, David, you remember those days? And I hated that. But I had to do these things. And then the Lord put certain people in me to inspire me. And when I started my business back in the, I did not even know what I'm doing. And it's okay if you don't know what you're doing right now. It is okay if you fail, because
Perfectly
you will
fine.
fail, but you will learn from your failures. I don't want you to start a dream, or you might do something that you're starting right now, and then it didn't
Hmm.
work out. You get a little disappointment, and then you say, okay, this is not for me. I'm giving up. Please, whatever you do, don't do
No.
that. You always have to look for an opportunity. You're going to try. Sometimes you're going to fail, but you're going to try. You're going to try again. You understand? You have to
Yes.
fail big to be successful. So, David, I want you to just kind of turn it over to you, but I want people to really write these things down, because there is power in writing your goals down. So, David, I would just like to chime in about this topic.
Honey, you made a very important point. And for me, I didn't have to write mine down. And mine was pretty simple. I wanted to make my big goal, and that is what I'm still working towards in life, is to make my children not have to start at zero. Give them a comfortable starting point whereby at the age of 18, they can begin to pursue their education and begin to build a career for themselves. That has always been what I've been working towards. And in my life, I had made the conscious decision to live for my children in service of them being able to achieve that. And when that obstacle is done, then I would focus on me as a person and where I want to go in terms of my personal life. And when I say that, I'm not talking about career, because when I came in Canada to study, it's the very same principle I had to go through as Ani. And one of the things that, my mom, she's like my North Star, I usually say. She said, son, there is no shortcuts. So let's just get this out of the way once. If you're aiming to reach your dream, trying to find a shortcut, it might as well you invest your time in putting in the hard work up front. Doing the right thing, there is nothing you have to worry about coming back and hit you. If you have done wrong to acquire your wealth, you you don't know at what point that something could be happening that is coming to take it back from you. But once you have gone through the right processes and you are doing things the right way, there is no fear when you lay your head at night. Nobody would come knocking on your door to take away what you have achieved. You also get that personal sense of accomplishment. You feel comfortable going to bed because you have put in your hard day's work aiming towards your goal. And not taking away from what Ernie says, some people might be very visual. They need something that they wake up and see in the morning to inspire them to get into today's work. If that is what is required, you do what it is required. You put in your work. I don't care if somebody may not like what they see on your wall. If you need to spray paint your wall with a black paint, and that is what's going to drive you and get you to your destination, you need to know what you're aiming towards and you need to put your things in place. Ernie made a very important point, and I would share my experience on that. When I was in college, just before I finished, I had my family to look after. So I couldn't just sit down home and not do anything. So actually, I just had to succumb. Yeah, I was studying to be a computer science, a bachelor's in computing science. But what did I have to do? I had to do a part-time job at a lab, putting samples in bottles, packing away stuff. You just have to do what you have to do. There is nothing about pride. There is nothing about a demeaning job. Once you are earning legitimate, honest cash, there is nothing that is bad about doing that. You're doing what you have to do and you keep your focus on your dream. That is all you have to be looking at. And those internal, I would call them turmoils that comes up, and you don't have the time to start thinking what other people thinking. Don't go wandering and pre getting any notion that other people would see this and other people would see that. Annie, that brings a good point. Tell them about the car.
What is that?
Tell them about the car. I was telling them about, don't worry about other people, what they perceive when they see things.
Mm-hmm,
You don't have to show anything.
mm-hmm,
Humility, you do
mm-hmm,
what you have to do. You don't have to be, you know, the last show we talked about Braiga. We
mm-hmm.
never explained what that means to the people.
Go ahead,
Maybe you
Larry.
could
Go ahead, David. You go ahead. You take. I'll let you take it away.
In Caribbean, Briga is like a colloquial term. It's somebody who is not so rich, but they're putting on a facade to allow people or fool people into thinking that they are at a certain financial status so that they could be treated in a certain way. That is what Braga is all about. So if ever you watch the live that we had before this, that is what Braga means. So let me just put people to rest on that. Um, One of the things, instead of Ani coming on with the vehicle, let me switch a little bit because I realize time is going. I want to give people a lot of meat that they could chew on maybe for the next week that they could think about. And there are a couple of things that are very important. Achieve Aiming for a dream and achieving a dream, you always need someone who could inspire you, because there would definitely be some down times in your life when you feel like you want to give up, as Ernie said, but you cannot give up. And that is what that person is there for. You have to be able to bounce ideas off of them. They have to be on the same page as you so that they would inspire you instead of pull you down. And there are a couple of things which, over the time, that I have figured out that basically helped myself and Ernie build our relationship and help us work with each other and uplift each other and help inspire each other to head where we need to head. And one of the things are that I pointed out is like-mindedness. And when I say like mindedness, I'm not talking about liking the same coffee or liking the same tea. No, the big dream of wanting to make ourselves better, wanting to achieve goals in relation to our family. That is what I'm talking about, like mindedness. And we both had that same sort of inspiration and drive, which we built from a very early age. The next thing, besides like mindedness, it's common goals. And having an idea for the person to choose when you decide to make a friend, or this is only, is it correct to say that we don't have a friendship, we are brothers?
Yeah,
I,
I
I
would say
could,
that.
yes,
Yeah.
I honestly don't see him as a friend. He's my brother.
Mhm.
So having common goals, that helps when two people are communicating. It helps when two people are heading in a direction, because then you both know and you both are working towards the same objective. Because I would give you an example. No, let me don't give that example because I don't want to get on to people who has specific challenges in their life. So the other thing you want to have happening between you and that other partner is something we call bootstrapping. I call bootstrapping. Is somebody, when the two people are in tandem, Oni might be higher than me or he is a little bit above the step that I am. And he would lend on a hand to help uplift me to get to my other stage. He would give me advice. I might have an idea. I would bounce it by him and I say, honey boy, I'm thinking about this, this, this. What do you think about that? Do you think I should do this? What you see as like the problem with it? Huh? And honey does the same thing with me. He would come and he'd ask, David, boy, I have this idea. Boy, I'm thinking about doing this. What is your take on that? Because you're pretty good at analytics or whatnot have you. Tell me what is your opinion on that. I trust your judgment on that. And that word I just said is trust. And let me tell you what trust is. With myself and Ernie, Ernie knows that when I tell him something, I would never give him an advice of something I wouldn't do. And it is not for me to get any benefit, because I'm genuine when I speak to him. And that level of trust is what you need to establish with that person who is providing you life changing advice, life changing support. You need to, over time, and I'm not saying you may find that person over uh, in a quick space of time, but that person would have demonstrated trust to you over time, whereby you could do things for them, they do things for you. You don't even watch you're not measuring like he did 10 things for me. I only ask him five and he's asking me 20. No, no, no. That has never happened. And i- there's never too much time taken for me to explain something to him, for for me to make sure that, okay, he has all that he has on his mind emptied out to me, and that I have tried my best to reassure him or guide him as best as possible. And the same way, when I come to him, he never pushes me away and say, David, I'm too busy at this point and I don't have time for you. We make time for each other. So it is a communal event whereby we both feel that we're getting value. And that comes to the video that we watched before. We get value from each other because we invest in each other and we share with each other. And one of the things he also mentioned that is very important, perseverance. If you're not, if you don't persist at what you're aiming towards, or you get sidetracked or you get distracted very easily by maybe people or activities in life, you have to have that person that would help refocus you and keep you centered on a particular target. And one of the things I say to myself is, you need somebody who may have had certain experiences as well, that when you're relaying certain things to them, they know where you're coming from. Because somebody could only give you true, genuine advice if they know exactly where you're coming from. If they know what you're talking about, not know like they believe, but they have experienced it, they have seen it, it has happened to them. So they know from where you're coming from. So when you're hurting or you're happy or excited about something, they know exactly what you're going through and how to help you avoid certain pitfalls or raise certain flags and say, boy, I don't think that's a good move you're making. Okay, yes, that one, yes, definitely. And early news, there are moments when I've definitely said that to him, and he has definitely said, David, be careful with this, whatever it is. Any little thing you want to add in here?
Yeah, David, I want to take a different approach because
Okay.
not everybody would have the friendship that me and you have. I think it's a
Yes.
unique friendship. So
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do is talk about it from a different angle. I want to
Okay.
talk to people that maybe a little bit down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their mom passed away, their dad passed away.
Mm-hmm.
They no longer have that support. They no
Yeah.
longer have that anchor. They doesn't have a friend. They doesn't have a friendship. They don't have people that they could trust. They don't have nobody
Mm.
that they could confide in. And what comes to mind? It's your dream.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you think that nobody is supporting you right now, even if you think that nobody have your back, remember it's your dream. Don't expect anybody to believe in you as much
Yes.
as you believe in yourself.
That is
I
true.
always say, even in your job, and me and David talked long last week about our job. Our last video was getting paid better, and I said that to me, a job is two things. When I think about a job, one is job, just over broke, and
Mm, yep.
the next one I always say is a salary is a man opinion of what you're worth. Doesn't mean
Yep.
that you're worth that you could worth way more. So I kind of want to zero in on people that doesn't have the support. There is YouTube, one of the
Mm-hmm.
greatest place. I know when I get up in the morning, sometimes I listen to guy like Les Brown. I listen to
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Miles Monroe. I listen to. There's a lot of just type in motivational speakers, and you could sit down there, and I take that in and out daily. Every day I go to work. So regardless of what happened,
Yeah.
somebody cannot steal your joy. So you have to
Yes.
find ways of building your self-confidence. Everybody may not have, sometimes you might be going through things where you feel like people don't support you, but
Mm.
sometimes you just have to try to make the sacrifices. You have to kneel and Ask God to guide you in the right direction. And believe me, He will open doors for you. He has opened a lot of doors for me,
Oh,
based
yeah.
on where I came from and where I am. And believe me, I am not
Hmm.
half the way of where I want to go, but the Lord has continued to bless me. David, as
Definitely. I
I
agree, Ani.
I started off, not just started, I started off in real estate. I just
Hmm.
want to give that little message. I started off in real
True.
estate. And when I started off, we didn't have much, but what I was doing is I was giving some of my donation to the church. So that was a
Yeah.
way that I was giving back. And I
Good.
make that point to talk about what David just talked about. David said, and I listened to him when I was trying to find out, and I asked this question, what is his why? If you would realize, at no time he said his why was about him. He talked about his why
Yeah.
was about his children. He talked
Hmm.
about finding security so his kids doesn't have to struggle, that he could give them a start. And I will tell you what's gonna happen. Let me take a break for now and just kind of relax our mind a little bit and think. And you could think about, I will use a simple thing like a band-aid. You know, the guys, like when you get cuts and they put a band-aid on your hand. I guarantee this guy didn't say, you know what, I'm going to invest in band-aid, I'm going to make band-aid because I want to make a lot of money. He make band-aid to help people.
Yeah.
So my thing is, when you concentrate on helping people, when you do things and figure out, okay, this is what I want to do. How could I help somebody else? How could I lift up the other person? There is when you're gonna get your reward. So you have to
Yes.
find inspiration right now. You have to write down your goals, as I said. You have to, you have to follow through with things though. Even if I'm telling you all that stuff and I'm giving you all that information, it means nothing unless you're taking some kind of action, unless you go into your dream and say, okay, I want to do that. I want to see people have that burning desire, because that's what you have to have, a fire inside you. If you don't have the fire inside you and you're just like, okay, yeah, I know I want to do this, but you're not taking the initiative, you're not eating, sleeping, and drinking that thing that you want to be. It's not going to happen for you. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen for you. So you have to eat, sleep, and drink this. You have to study it night and day, and you have to invest the time, put the time out. Just as example, last night I didn't go to bed until about 5 o'clock because I was going through a program that I just got, that I want us to kind of make this channel and make things better. So we have to kind of strive to be the best version of ourselves we can be to provide. So David, go ahead.
That is a very important point you made, Ani. And even in scripture, they say faith without action is dead. If you have a dream and you're not taking action to make it happen, it's might as well you didn't even have the dream in the first place. So that is very important. If you're not taking the action, if you're not trying to live and breathe what it is you need to do, there is
Go
um
ahead.
let's look at now. So the next phase, and how do you actually turn this into reality? And Ernie hit some very important points. You have to be working towards it, knowing what it is, and diligently pursuing it. Ernie, am I coming through clear, or are you hearing a lot of
Yeah,
background noise?
no, I'll get some background, but go ahead. Just keep going. I'm
Oh,
still hearing you, so go ahead.
okay, just
All right, I guess David had to step out for a little bit. So, um, yeah, guys. So as I was saying, that we just has to stay on task. We have to know exactly what our goals are, and this is very, very important. I guess David had to step out aside for a little bit. David, are you back with me now?
yes, I am. Sorry
Okay.
about that, people. I thought I was hearing like a lot of background noise coming through, like my headset, that kind of stuff. Um, yeah. So we, 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 we're not too far from wrapping up to a certain extent. We have given you an idea of some of the things you need to take into consideration. There are certain steps and so on. Ernie actually has some books. He has given some solid advice that if you don't have the physical support within your current structure, be it friendship or be it church, or be it you have a counselor that you could sit and talk to, that kind of stuff, um, you could always refer to YouTube videos, find something inspirational to kick off your day. If you need to buy a Bible, maybe I don't even think you need to buy a Bible. Bible is given away. Find a scripture, read a verse. If that is what you need to do as part of your process in the morning to give you that inspiration to get through that day. And do not think, besides having your goal ahead of you, do not think days ahead, because one of the challenges that used to be for me is when you think very far ahead in relation to your goals, sometimes that discourages you because you find it's taking so long to get there. So you would want to appreciate the day by day activities that is going on in your life. You live one day as it is your last day, and that is the day that you're working towards your dream to try and turn it into a reality. One day at a time, one day at a time. And something I always say to myself is, happiness in life, it is not at the end of your life is where the happiness is. Happiness is the journey in your life. So you have to take some time in your life. And to a certain extent in my life, I have learned that the hard way, whereby I have neglected maybe having fun and a lot of things in my life because I was pretty focused on, you know, aiming for that target. But you need to take a little time sometimes and exhale and breathe and enjoy a little bit of your life. And then you feel renewed. And then you begin to head again. It's the next stage. So it's like you make an incline and then you level out. You give yourself a time to recover. And then you make another incline and then you give yourself a break again. Because if you just keep inclining, 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 at some point you're going to be worn out. And if you're going up a steep hill and it's only an incline, when you get worn out, what happens? You just start sliding back down. So that is what you want to try and avoid. So that is why I say sometimes you just need to take a little pause, replenish yourself, and then get going again. And when I mean a pause, I don't mean a 6 month pause. No, because if you remember what I said in the beginning, a habit is 6 months, and after 6 months, it is hard to break. So if you start developing the habit of not doing anything, then you have to go on change that habit. And that might be a difficult struggle for you again, depending on how difficult it was for you to start your habit. So you have to be a little bit mindful of where your funds are going. You need to make sure that your goals are there. You need to make sure you don't have like just a selfish, I want to be a billionaire. I don't think anybody who is a billionaire set out with the idea, I want to be a billionaire. Nobody, I believe, that was the intention to become a billionaire. It may come as a result, as Anise, of something that you do to help somebody, and as an unknown side effect of it, it became a cash generating something. Inventions were never made with the intention of it being a money maker for somebody. No, it was somebody's pet project, somebody's pet idea that they loved that idea. And then somehow that was used within the society or whatnot have you, and finances was generated on it. I say all this to say that anybody who has a dream, don't give up on it. You only fail at a dream when you give up. Once you have the breath of life and you're working towards it, you may have kids. They can even take the dream that you have started and continue on. So don't think that your dream has to finish and end with you at your life cycle. As I said, my kids, I was living for them to be able to get an education, etc. If I close my eyes today or tomorrow, even though I'm not here to see that they got a university education and they have a wonderful job and housing, my dream has not died because it's living through the people who have been able to achieve their dream. So I'm living my life through their eyes in terms of because I had serviced their ideas. I was there providing support for them. So my dream can never be a failure. And the more people you begin to help, and Ernie, maybe in our last talk, you remember you said some people were thinking job securities by hogging all the information.
Mhm.
No, you live your life through people. And if you're not a selfish person, you would realize it brings a lot of joy and enjoyment to you to see other people that you're able to help develop and progress in life. So, Ani, at this point, I'll let you take it from there.
Okay.
No, yeah,
Oh, David, you make some great point. I don't know if me and you will totally agree on everything, but
no, we would
you did talk about happiness,
yes,
and my view of happiness is a vacation spot. Think about you go there on
nice.
vacation, you go there for a little bit, but sometimes you gotta come back. You gotta
Yes,
also face the challenges of life. You go have,
yeah.
as you says, a lot of ups and downs. Like people leave relationships and they say, "Oh, I am not happy." Well, were you happy before you're in a relationship? Because somebody can make you happy, and you will go there and you will come back. You will have
Mhm.
different emotions and stuff like that. One more thing I want to talk about, David, as we're
Sure.
getting ready to wrap up in a minute. Um, if your dreams are crazy, that's good. I will give you a story, David. So a
Wild
guy
dreams.
says, "I want to cut down a forest."
Mhm.
And I want to build some rides or something where people could come and enjoy themselves. But I'm going to have a mouse as the logo. There we go, Disney World. All right. I'll give you another one. I will take, you know what? I'm going to develop this thing where I could take, let strangers pick up kids, send them to school, have strangers pick up people from the bar back and forth. Strangers, come in his personal car and give you a ride and take you wherever you're going. Well, today that's Uber. So
Yep,
so
yep,
so so it's okay if people think you have crazy dreams,
yeah.
because if your dreams are not crazy, maybe you're not thinking big enough. And I want people to
Not
open their
truly
minds to
dreaming.
think.
Yeah,
So we talk about dreams, and if you're gonna dream, you might as well dream
dream
big.
big.
You,
You
you
have
know what I'm
nothing to
saying?
lose. Nothing to
Yeah,
lose.
you might not get. I am not. To be honest with you, I am not where I want to get. My dreams are so big. I think I wouldn't share a whole lot of stuff here, but my dreams are so big is ridiculous. And
Yeah,
every
yeah.
day I get up, I'm trying to do better. I'm trying
Mhm.
to make sure that I provide for these kids. But at the end of the day, when life is done and my kids go to college, my life don't stop. Like
No.
we was talking about retirement from the age of 70, and I'm already thinking what I'm going to do and when I'm going to retire.
When retire, yes.
Yeah, because I mean, somebody asked me a question, David, earlier on today, and it has always been a hard question for me to answer.
Mm,
And I don't know if it's a very simple question, and I
mm,
don't know if it's a hard question for you to answer. Also,
yeah.
what do you do for fun? I will ask you that question. What do you do for fun, David?
Well, that's a good question, eh? You know what? Only the truth is, I I have my fun is one watching my kids and so on enjoy themselves. That brings happiness to me. Once my friends, my family is happy, I'm happy because it has never been a selfish, it has never been about me. It has always been looking out for people. So it's like I'm living through their happiness. And that is what gives me a bubble of joy. I don't know, it might be weird, but that is what it is. I never wanted like a fancy sports car. I have no jewelry on my hand. I could get jewelry, but it is not what drives me. So I guess that is what it is. Just watching and maybe I'm stealing their thunder by basking in their joy and just sucking it all in. But that is where it brings fun to me. Does that make any sense to anybody? Is it just
Uh,
totally crazy? I'm not
well,
sure,
Larry,
man.
I don't think I want to hang out much with you. You seem like a pretty boring guy.
Yeah, right. But
You know,
we talk for hours though.
you sound like a pretty boring guy. You know, I would take a different take of that, and I would say
Yeah,
this. I would just give you a little quote. There's a quote
right.
that says, "Lifelong learners become lifelong leaders."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
most of the time, I'm here. Uh, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying
Hmm.
to see as much. So I don't spend a lot of time. So to be honest with you, you wouldn't get Ernie in a bar. You
No.
wouldn't get me going to the club. And I will explain that to
Mm-mm.
you. And
Me too.
it's just who I
Mhm.
am. Everybody in the bar or the club is getting paid.
Peace.
But and
Yep.
I'm bringing my money. You know, I mean, if I want to dance, I could put on some music here and dance and have fun. But I'm trying to soak in. You know, we don't have much time on the face of the earth. I'm trying to
Yeah.
soak in all the knowledge I could soak in. So
Right.
later on, I could elevate to be a
Yeah.
leader of some kind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I
Yes.
said before, we got like what the mighty sparrow say, you got to learn today to earn tomorrow. And I
Tomorrow.
always tell
Hmm.
my daughter
It's
that
true.
because most of the time she doesn't want to go to school. I say, you got to learn today so you could earn tomorrow. So for
Yeah.
me, David, also I don't have that much life. I go to work, and to be honest with you, I do this. I have other stuff doing, but I still go to a job. I don't want people to think
Right.
that just
Yep.
because they start to do something that oh, I'm making a little bit of money now, or if you're doing an online business now, that you're gonna just go ahead and quit. I say
No.
just
No. No.
wait and be patient and to
Yeah.
get to yourself. But to be honest with you, that's how I see it, David. So David, we're almost over to an hour. We're gonna get ready to wrap up this live. Next
And
week we'll be hitting
let,
another topic, but I'll let David chime in just before we close it
before
up.
you bring that topic, you're a hypocrite. You just tell me I don't have a life. You don't have one too. And
Yeah, you're right.
you pretty much do the same that I do. Like I do reading, researching, and I
Mhm,
would practice maths and all kind of thing at my
mhm,
tabletop, right?
mhm,
But yeah, you have to. That is something very important. You
mhm.
have to find time for some personal self development, and that's the only way you can see through, you could be able to meet life challenges that it comes at you. I know everybody's experience in life is different,
Mhm.
but wherever there is a will, wherever there's perseverance, you can make it. And this channel, the whole inspiration here is to help people, to talk to people, give people motivational tips, guide
Mhm.
people based on our experiences to
Mhm.
help them overcome and to become them better selves. So, Ani, I will let you do the closing down and the
Well,
shutting down from here.
well, I want to say, guys, that this as we go to wrap up, we'll be doing this every Saturday
Mhm.
at 9:30 p.m. We're gonna try to inspire people, and most of the times we're gonna take certain things we're going to take from a financial point of view. Also, as we see, we try to give you a little bit of financial advice. We try to tell you how to save. My thing is, if you could save like 25% of your salary, if you could do that,
Yeah,
that is pretty good. If you could even save 5%, but try to save something,
yeah, you must.
we will take a different approach on that too, David, because it's hard to save, David. So we'll talk a lot in the next couple of weeks about investments.
Mhm.
I definitely believe that saving is good, but I believe it's so hard. I think it's like putting a
Yeah.
bucket and hoping that it's rain. So
Uh-huh.
and sometimes we have to try to get people to see what their goals are, so they could kind of get to make money to get a better life before we could think about saving and business, because they have to be able to eat first
Yeah.
before they
Oh,
could get
yeah.
to that kind of level.
Mhm.
So what I want to do in the next couple weeks, David, I will start some research, and that people that is not there, we go try to look for maybe some online business where it's very little to very little investment. As if you don't have to wait on us to, you could kind of look at those YouTube videos and check on some online business and how you could make yourself better. Just start where you could kind of get some money to kind of pursue some of your goals. So again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We had a blast, and we will be back next week. So,
And
guys,
only
if you want
just
to add
before,
anything.
you shut down, a lot of people, what Oni just said, that is important because remember, the coffee money, the beer money, think of it as money you had already spent. So even if you do the investment and it didn't go the way you wanted, you didn't lose anything. You just didn't drink a coffee and you didn't drink a beer. But the chance is that you may make some additional money on that. With that, I I say adieu to everybody, and it was a pleasure talking to everybody. And Janice, I'm glad that you won your book, and congratulations again on that. And looking forward to our next week's topic again. We would
All right.
announce it coming up this week.
All right. Take care, guys. See you.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.